Tonight in 9 News, birthday bash. Bikie boss Toby Mitchell jailed for assaulting a guest at his own birthday party. The new multi-billion-dollar facility to pump out the Moderna vaccine right here in Melbourne. John Pesutto endorsed and he's hoping to win back Hawthorn. What's in a name? The controversial vote to rebadge the city of Moreland. Christmas warning, dangerous toys destroyed in the name of safety. And the festive float for all of Melbourne to enjoy.
This is Melbourne's 9 News with Alicia Loxley.
Good evening. Bikie boss Toby Mitchell is behind bars tonight, jailed over a brawl at his own birthday party in Echuca last month. Live to Maggie Rayworth with the details. Maggie, the Mongols leader, was arrested this morning.
Arrested, charged and sentenced, Alicia. He's accused of punching a man in the face last month. Now, he fronted the Melbourne Magistrates Court just moments ago. He was handed 2 months jail and found guilty of common law assault. Now, he was arrested in his South Bank apartment this morning. The 47-year-old was charged with a series of offences, including assault, affray and failing to provide the code to his mobile phone. Now, the alleged incident took place at a pub in Echuca November 28. That's where Mitchell was celebrating his birthday with around 100 other associates of the Mongols outlaw motorcycle gang. Now, it's at that celebrations where Mitchell posted to social media pictures of his birthday cake and the celebrations in general. Police were monitoring the party close by. Now, all this comes just 2 months after he avoided conviction of 2 street attacks, one of which where he was knocked out by a homeless man. But Alicia, it's certainly been a busy day for Toby Mitchell.
All right, Maggie Rayworth there, thank you. 100 million vaccine doses will be made in Victoria every year as part of a $2 billion agreement between the state, Commonwealth and drug manufacturer Moderna. It'll be the first mRNA factory in Australia, but as Adam Hegarty reports, it's a little way off.
In the infectious disease labs at Melbourne's Doherty Institute, scientists with a reputation.
Here it is, the crack team.
This is it, this is the A team.
On the Omicron hunt.
They were the first to grow and study COVID-19.
It was in February 2020, I was here with Greg Hunt, and I got to stare into the face of this virus.
And today, the scene for another landmark moment. Victoria beating other states to make mRNA vaccines on home soil. The state, Commonwealth and Moderna inking the deal.
So we can get cracking because we're ready to pitch tent in Australia.
That tent is a $2 billion plus mRNA facility which won't be built until 2024. It'll produce up to 100 million doses every year. COVID boosters, flu shots, virtually anything with a Moderna label.
The mRNA vaccines have proven to be, I'd argue, the biggest scientific discovery over the course of this pandemic.
Think about Boston, think about London, and you think about Melbourne. This is a massive game changer.
Which they're keeping rather secret. The planned Victorian location not yet confirmed and the exact cost to the taxpayer veiled under commercial in confidence.
It's a rapidly evolving area, but I can say this is a very equal partnership.
And an investment, frankly, that government should be making.
They say it secures priority supply of vaccines for future pandemics as the current one flares up. In New South Wales, a surge of 804 new COVID cases, a Newcastle nightclub, a worrying cluster, fuelled by the Omicron variant.
Of the about 650 people who attended the Argyle House nightclub, we've found to date about 150 people have tested positive.
In Victoria, 1,189 new infections, assurances though that restrictions are over.
We have to face it down. We have to live with this virus. We cannot allow us to take it back.
But our health minister still coy on whether masks will go.
We'll make sure that our decisions are reasonable, are what's required.
The plea is to get your booster, which for now will still arrive by air. Victoria's Moderna factory, looking beyond the horizon.
What does Australia get? Australia gets a guaranteed vaccine supply over the long term.
And Adam joins us live now. Adam, 3 more Omicron cases have been detected in Victoria.
There have been, Alicia, all linked to a flight from Dubai a couple of weeks ago. It takes the grand total of Omicron cases to 6 and a further 9 probable cases under investigation. But the message from experts still is, thank you, sir, the message still is that it's more infectious, but it is Still, thank you, sir. We'll just leave it at that. It moves us to the issue of masks. We'll get this done with. It's supposed to go masks from retail settings here tomorrow, but Alicia, as we deal with this gentleman, both the acting Premier and the Health Minister are still pretty tight-lipped about that. They say there'll be an announcement later in the week.
All right, Adam, well handled. Adam Hegarty reporting there. Well, John Pesutto says he's humbled to have a chance of reclaiming the seat of Hawthorn after being added to the Liberal ticket unopposed. Stephanie Anderson is at State Parliament tonight. Steph, it would be quite the comeback if he can pull it off.
It would be, Alicia. John Pesutto's already had 3 years away from State Parliament, but says he is as keen as ever to get back in the game and will be throwing everything he has at the effort to win his old stomping ground. We're just shy of a year from that 2022 polling day, but already those pre-election politics are in full swing on both sides of the fence.
3 years ago, he watched his job slip away on live television.
It's not looking great, and it's a very tough road back.
Now, after walking that road, John Pesutto is endorsed and hoping to win back Hawthorn.
I've done the first bit, which is winning my party's nomination. Now I have to go back and try and win back the seat.
Added to the Liberal ticket unopposed last night, the father of 3 says he'll wind down the legal business he's built during his political hiatus to campaign full-time alongside Matthew Guy, giving any suggestion of leadership aspirations of his own a wide berth for now.
I've got to win this seat first before I do anything else. What happens after that? We'll see.
I am very enthusiastic about campaigning again with John.
And while that effort starts immediately, today the Liberal leader, in a lab coat, confirmed he isn't expecting any ballot before November, saying Tim Smith will stay the course.
Tim's a loyal Liberal. He's always been so, and he remains so. And I don't for a moment have any belief that there'll be a by-election because of that.
On the other side of the political divide, the acting Premier has tried to play down the risk of internal tensions making life hard for the Labor government here at Parliament in the lead up to next year's election, with sidelined MPs having the power to trigger by-elections or not vote with their colleagues on key legislation.
A time comes for all of us in this business. It's a difficult time, but these are matters for the party.
But with former ministers Luke Donnellan, Robin Scott and Marlene Kairouz facing 11 months of towing the line, despite their fate being decided for them, things could get interesting. In a statement to 9 News today, Kairouz described Labor's pre-selections as a power grab by the cabal of lobbyists who've taken over the party and want compliant MPs.
I don't have the gift of foreseeing the future in terms of what may happen between now and election day in November next year. But, you know, these things sort themselves out.
Stephanie Anderson, 9 News.
The man who bashed to death gangland figure Carl Williams is making a bid for freedom. Let's go live now to court reporter Eliza Rugg. Eliza, Matthew Johnson is launching an appeal.
That's right, Alicia. The 48-year-old is appealing his conviction for the murder of Carl Williams at Barwon Prison back in 2010. Matthew Johnson, he's currently serving a life sentence with a non-parole period of 32 years. Both men were being housed in the Acacia unit. The crime was all caught on CCTV. We remember that Johnson snuck up behind Carl Williams, who was reading a newspaper at the time, and bashed him to death with the stem of an exercise bike. A jury found Johnson guilty. It didn't buy his explanation that he was acting in self-defence. The real motive for the crime was that Johnson was angry at Carl Williams for giving information to police about the infamous Hodson murders. As for the reasons why he's appealing, we'll find out more information tomorrow morning. That's when Matthew Johnson will appear here at the Court of Appeal. Alicia.
All right, Eliza Rugg there, thank you. Moreland City Council will change its name after Indigenous elders highlighted its racist origins. But as Lana Murphy tells us, critics claim the move will sting ratepayers millions of dollars.
Moreland no more. After 27 years, this Northern Suburbs Council is changing its name.
The association with racism and Indigenous decimation of the original peoples of these lands was just too important to not consider.
And last night, 6 councillors decided it had to go at a cost of at least $500,000.
It's going to cost millions. I know it's going to cost millions because based on what other councils have gone through.
The term Moreland derives from the name of a Jamaican sugar plantation that traded slaves in the 1800s, an early settler naming the Brunswick and Coburg district in its honour. Traditional elders have long protested its use. 3 weeks ago, ago, 11 community leaders wrote to the council, highlighting its direct association with both slavery and dispossession.
Change it. Recognise what happened in the past and change it. I think reconciling things of what occurred in the past, our people don't forget.
More than 1,000 people signed the No More Land petition.
If people are offended by it, then it's the right thing to do.
But opposing councillors say it's a waste of money.
There's thousands, not hundreds, of street names that will need to change. I mean, you think about all the sporting clubs, you think about all the community buildings. Do we have to keep moving backwards to move forward? I think we just need to move on.
We really value our resources and we want to spend them wisely, and so we'll manage that as best we can.
So just what will the city be called? Well, that hasn't been decided yet. Council will consult with Aboriginal elders in the next few months to identify suitable names, and one should be determined before the middle of next year.
Lana Murphy, 9 News.
There'll be a major change to Australia's international border from tomorrow. Live now to Zara James, who's at Sydney Airport tonight. Zara, what can we expect?
Alicia, Australia's international border will reopen tomorrow to international students and skilled workers, as well as tourists from South Korea and Japan as part of a border bubble. The government is going to push ahead with this after it was paused 2 weeks ago as the Omicron variant began to emerge so they could gather more information. There will be restrictions though for those entering from tomorrow. They must have a negative test. They must also be double vaccinated and self-isolate for a 72-hour period. But there is still no confirmed date about when any other tourists will be able to enter the country, Alicia.
All right, Zara, thank you. Well, the world's first Omicron death has been recorded in Britain, prompting warnings this variant is not milder than its predecessors. As Europe correspondent Brett McLeod reports, it's expected to become London's dominant strain of COVID within the week.
Day one of the British government's bold ambition, 1 million booster shots a day to try to hold back Omicron.
Until now, the highest number of jabs that we've delivered in a single day in the UK was over 840,000.
The urgency paramount, the Prime Minister confirming at least one person has now died with the Omicron variant.
I think the idea that this is somehow a milder version of the virus, I think that's something we need to set on one side.
We can expect those numbers to dramatically increase in the days and weeks that lie ahead.
Already on average 120 people die and 800 people are hospitalised daily from the Delta variant in Britain. With everyone over 18 now able to get boosters, the National Health Service booking website crashed, so tens of thousands joined long queues.
They told me it's going to be a couple of hours, but I'll give it a try.
To boost the booster program, it's expected the 15-minute waiting period after injections will be scrapped.
The UK government says Omicron already accounts for more than 40% of new cases in London and is expected to overtake Delta by tomorrow.
Boris Johnson hasn't ruled out further restrictions being introduced ahead of Christmas, but many are simply carrying on.
I'm a little bit worried, but not too bad. Just get on with it. Can't stay at home forever.
In London, Brett McLeod, 9 News.
1 in every 100 seniors in the United States has died of COVID-19, according to the nation's Census Bureau. The sobering new data also revealed close to 800,000 Americans have died of COVID, roughly equating to 1 in every 417 people. The country has seen nearly 50 million cases. Dozens more emergency beds are being opened in one of Melbourne's busiest hospitals. As medical reporter Emily Rice tells us, new data shows emergency department wait times are getting longer across the system.
A fall while chasing a ball landed 7-year-old Matthew in Monash Medical Centre's brand new emergency department.
I went to save the ball and instead landed on a piece of metal fence, so he had a bit of a puncture in his finger.
They were nice because they took care of me.
Matthew is one of 100,000 patients who will benefit from a $76 million boost to the hospital's ED. This morning, Health Minister Martin Foley had a sneak peek at the new 34-bed upgrade, which opens ahead of schedule next week.
This is all about making sure that people in the South East have the best facilities right here, close to home.
It's an amazing early Christmas present.
The The paediatric area is already operational.
It was colourful with so many amazing pictures.
Really very much about reducing waiting times and being seen by our doctors and nurses and allied health teams as quickly as possible.
According to a new national report, last year 90% of emergency department visits were completed within 8 hours. That is 1 hour longer than in 2017, when most visits were complete in 7 hours. One crucial feature you can't see is the negative airflow technology. This extracts and filters the air to reduce the risk of viral transmission for patients and staff.
It feels all better now that I don't need any more bandages.
Emily Rice, 9 News.
88 floors above the city, the highest viewing platform in the Southern Hemisphere has had a high-tech makeover. At the top of the Eureka Tower, the Melbourne Skydeck now features a 6D virtual reality experience, allowing you to fly above and smell the city in a virtual world.
How they sprayed smells as you went past the beach or you went past a coffee shop, and I thought that was pretty cool. It makes you feel like you're actually there.
There's also a new bar, a 3D model of Melbourne, and of course the spectacular view from the windows. All right, now looking ahead to tonight's sport, here is Tony Jones.
Nothing like a whiff of the Yarra in winter, is there? Thanks, Alicia. Well, there's intrigue aplenty in Adelaide over Dave Warner's injury, but while that injury is being assessed tonight, his teammates are treating it with a straight bat.
I think for him it was just rest. I think he's ready to go, so no issues with Davey.
Also tonight, Mark Murphy reopens some old wounds with his old coach. Jack opens up to 9 News about being hawked around in the trade period. Steph shot at history in the NBA, and how soccer officials scored an own goal. Very embarrassing, that one. It's all coming up later in sport.
Looking forward to that, Tony. We'll see you soon. Ahead in Melbourne's 9 News, up in flames, the popular Malvern East club gutted by fire. The crippling shortage set to force trucks off the road. And meet the new star of the show at Melbourne Zoo. Residents in Malvern East have captured flames roaring from a tennis club pavilion. The community hub was destroyed when a suspicious fire ripped through the suburban park.
You could feel the flames from like 20 metres back, so it was pretty terrifying. It was up to the tree line and the whole thing was just in flames.
Firefighters arrived at the centre just before 1 a.m, taking an hour to get the blaze under control. Authorities say a lack of nearby fire hydrants added to the challenge. Desperate trade negotiations are underway to secure dwindling supplies of a fuel additive critical to the trucking industry. Australia may only have enough AdBlue to last a few weeks, which will force some trucks off the road. Eddie Meyer has more.
It's the crisis you probably had no idea even existed, a desperate shortage of AdBlue, an essential fuel additive for around half of Australia's trucking fleet.
If AdBlue isn't available, then you're going to see those trucks parked up.
Found in more modern vehicles, AdBlue reduces the amount of harmful pollutants emitted by diesel-powered engines. Disengaging the system is illegal and punishable with hefty fines. To make it requires a high grade of a compound called urea, and most of the supply we need comes from China, which has halted exports.
None of the major suppliers in the business is bringing any product in. There's no stock in Australia.
Lee Smart makes chemicals for a living, among them enough AdBlue for his own small fleet.
If you've got 4 or 5 trucks, you're just going into service stations and filling up at times. So when AdBlue gets short, you've got no purchasing power.
And that's already evident, signs warning that prices have risen 500% in a week, with limits on purchases.
One of our Road Freight's members the other day phoned up and he was virtually in tears and he said, "Can you help me out? I'm about to park up my trucks." I gave him 60 litres of AdBlue.
But it goes way beyond individual freight businesses. No trucks, no deliveries.
Food on shelves, the chemicals that go into our water to make it drinkable, the PPE and medicines in hospitals.
Now, it's not just trucks that use AdBlue. A number of diesel passenger cars and four-wheel drives also use it, and in those vehicles, a litre generally lasts a few months. Fine if you've just filled up, not so much if you're running out. The government says it's taking the crisis seriously, having already done a deal with Indonesia, while also talking to a number of other countries.
What we've got to do is make sure that we can access the urea that we need, both from international markets, and also look to see what we can do around domestic production.
Eddie Meyer, 9 News.
More than 100 people are still unaccounted for following the United States' deadliest tornado outbreak in more than a decade. 88 people are confirmed dead, the youngest just 2 months old. And a warning, some of the pictures in Jerry Damassi's story are distressing.
The youngest face of a natural disaster. 2-month-old Oakland coons.
So I run over there and I found the car seat, and Oakland was just laying in there crying.
Today, dying from injuries in hospital. Her big brother Dallas, badly hurt too. Across Kentucky, stories of unspeakable loss. 7 children killed on a single street. A 5-month-old survived by his parents. A 9-year-old killed sheltering in a bath with her sisters.
And they had determined that this interior bathroom with no windows would be their safe place. And she texted back and said, "We're in the bathroom."
The city of Mayfield is 75% gone, a community whose average income is below $30,000. Families now homeless, forced to shelter in the local church.
Clothing us, feeding us.
I just hope they find us somewhere to go, because I don't have family here.
You come home, you've lost your husband, wife, mother, father, children, somebody along the line.
President Biden pledging full federal support for as long as it takes. He'll tour Ground Zero on Thursday.
The devastation is just stunning. I mean, there's nothing left standing, basically.
I'm not doing so well today, and I'm not sure how many of us are.
But amid the devastation, humanity.
I did not call a single person. These people showed up.
And hope.
This is my daddy's box. It had all of his little things that I have. Nothing will ever take these memories away. Memories of
We have prayer, we have faith, and we have hope. And it's all going to be okay.
In the United States, Jerry Damassi, 9 News.
After a 5-year legal battle, $530 million will be awarded to the victims of disgraced Dr. Larry Nassar as part of a settlement with USA Gymnastics and the US Olympic Committee. Nassar spent 2 decades sexually abusing underage gymnasts in his care, including Olympic gold medalist Simone Biles. Nicole Kidman likes an acting challenge, and now the Australian has been rewarded. She's just been nominated for Best Actress at the 2022 Golden Globes for her role as Lucille Ball in Being the Ricardos. Fans of the American icon and comedian were furious when Nicole was cast in the role, but film critics have applauded her performance. In an impressive display of festive cheer, a New York family has broken its own Guinness World Record for the most Christmas lights on a residential property. Comprised of 686,000 bulbs, this year's display took the family 8 weeks to create and beat their previous effort by 90,000 lights. Well, he may be small, but we're assured baby Izumi has an oversized personality. The tiny spider monkey has been chosen by Melbourne Zoo to be the face of World Monkey Day. Born last year as part of the zoo's conservation program, the cheeky 16-month-old has quickly become a crowd favourite, and it's easy to see why. All right, Madeline Slattery joins us now with the very latest on the weather, and the sunshine saved the day, Maddie.
It really did, Alicia. The city was almost 12 degrees cooler than yesterday, but that summer sunshine definitely has some bites. So as long as you weren't in the shade, the maximum of 21 felt pretty good. Across the Tasman, New Zealand is bracing for the impact of tropical cyclone Ruby. It hit New Caledonia today and is expected to track to the southeast over the coming days. While it's not expected to make landfall in New Zealand, a pair of low pressure systems are siphoning down the tropical moisture, and parts of the country are likely to be hit with heavy rain. Each season, Australia averages 9 to 11 tropical cyclones, but now that La Nina is in play, there is the possibility that we'll see more than that between now and April, Alicia.
All right, Maddie, we'll see you a bit later on. Ahead in 9 News, how the pandemic is having an impact on your teeth and what you can do about it. Plus, the coolest job in the world on offer to everyday Australians. And the political rivals who took their fight to a whole new level. Two people are wanted for ransacking a Mitcham home in the middle of the afternoon. The man and woman broke into the Deacon Street property by forcing open a window around 2 p.m. on December 2nd. They took jewellery, audio equipment and other electronic items and were captured on CCTV walking towards Halliday Park. Dentists say they can see if someone's stressed just by looking in their mouth. The number of people seeking help for teeth grinding and clenching has soared. Experts putting that down to the strain of the pandemic. Maggie Rayworth has the story.
Ali Smyrniotis started grinding her teeth during lockdown. The 20-year-old retail worker says some days the pain was debilitating.
They had told me that I was holding a lot of tension in my jaw, which was causing headaches from grinding throughout the day and night.
She's been fitted with a night guard and is now pain-free. Ali is just one of many people who've recently sought help for the same issue.
During the pandemic, we've seen an unprecedented number of people grinding and clenching their teeth, and a huge number of people needing implants because they've broken their teeth to such an extent.
Over time, clenching and grinding can crack and fracture teeth. Dr. Slav Viata says a lot of work goes into prevention. For example, he uses Botox to reduce the tension in the jaw and ultimately reduce grinding.
Some days even up to 30 or 40 people coming in just for Botox in the jaw from all the stress. And we're making night guards every day, multiple night guards, 5, 6, 7 of them at least.
But for those who don't get in early...
So if it's already broken, we would have to repair it with a filling or a crown even, and in some cases a root canal if the crack's really severe.
While it's easier said than done, dentists say the best way to avoid teeth grinding and clenching is to reduce stress. They recommend prioritising time to wind down, for example, going for a walk or jog after work.
Obviously self-care does help prevent these issues.
And the advice is to see the dentist if you're concerned. Maggie Rayworth, 9 News.
Fancy a freezing cold working holiday? Well, the Australian Antarctic team is recruiting more than 200 people for a stint at one of 4 research stations, 3 on the frozen continent and the others on Macquarie Island. There are 24 different roles on offer, including plumbers, electricians, engineers and cooks. Deployments range from 4 months to 1 year. Well, a new multi-million-dollar facility is designed to give Australia's Winter Olympians the edge in Beijing. As Vicky Jardim explains, they can reach speeds of 65 kilometres an hour on the jump without a hint of snow.
Rolling green grass, sunshine and heat. It's an unusual setting for a world-class snow sport training centre. A high-performance jump with a soft airbag landing.
So fun. It actually feels a lot like snow too.
The dry slope airbag is up and running this week, putting some of our best winter athletes to the test. Up until now, they were forced to travel overseas for training. It's part of the $5.1 million National Sports Training Centre, funded by the New South Wales Government and built in Jindabyne. The plastic surface replicates the snow, clocking speeds of around 65 kilometres an hour.
The World Cup and Olympic medalists from the last games are 16, 17 years of age. So it's quite possible that we could have world-class athletes, Olympic medal calibre athletes in Jindabyne.
Australia's climate and isolation from the rest of the world has fuelled even more creative solutions like this aerial facility in Brisbane.
It's been great to get on.
Vicky Jardim, 9 News.
The world's richest man, entrepreneur Elon Musk, has been named Person of the Year. The Tesla and SpaceX CEO has taken out Time's top honour for 2021. The magazine says Musk was chosen due to his capacity to, quote, reshape life on Earth and possibly life off Earth. 15-year-old Michigan school shooting suspect Ethan Crumbley will remain in an adult jail after his lawyer's request to move him to a juvenile facility was denied. Crumbley appeared in court as his defence team argued his mental, physical and emotional health was not best served in a mainstream prison. He's accused of killing 4 students at his high school 2 weeks ago. 12 people have been injured after a homemade bomb detonated at an Orthodox convent school outside Moscow. Authorities believe an 18-year-old former student was behind the attack. He survived the blast and is in intensive care. Well, it's not the usual way leaders settle a political row. A mayor and a councillor have taken to the boxing ring in Brazil. They traded blows in a 3-round match after the councillor criticised his rival's management of a local water park. The mayor emerged victorious. All right, to finance news for you now. And shares in the country's biggest supermarket slumped today, while the price of Bitcoin also dropped sharply. Business reporter Chris Kohler.
Woolworths lost $3.5 billion today as shareholders flooded for the exit. The reason was simple enough. The CEO explained that the cost of COVID safety, things like rapid tests and isolation periods, will cut about $100 million from this year's profit. That weighed on the market, but overall, the ASX 200 finished steady, with Coles also lower, while Telstra and Medibank Private did well. The price of Bitcoin remains weaker, another 4% loss today. It was $66,000 a month ago, now 46,000. And to cap off a rough day, the Australian dollar is also weaker, buying 71 US cents, 63 euro cents and 53 British pence.
Up next in 9 News, hidden dangers, the dodgy toys we're being urged to avoid this Christmas. Plus, why an avocado a day may be the key to a healthier life. And keep your eyes peeled for Santa on the Yarra, the festive float for all of Melbourne to enjoy. Businesses looking to employ children under 15 over the school holidays are being warned not to take shortcuts. Victoria's wage regulator says it's concerned some bosses may overlook protocols in a rush to fill vacant roles, putting young workers at risk. Any business found employing a child under 15 without a permit could face a fine of more than $18,000. A stark warning for anyone buying children's Christmas presents to keep an eye out for dangerous toys. Consumer Affairs Victoria today shredded hundreds of items deemed unsafe for kids. Mimi Becker reports.
Crushing some Christmas dreams. The Consumer Affairs Minister hesitantly places a baby doll in a shredder, but it's all in the name of safety.
We've got some really strict guidelines in place to make sure that toys that are sold are up to the right standard.
Fluffy toy dogs, fake guns, pool accessories and sunglasses among 368 unsafe items pulled from the shelves. Inspectors from Consumer Affairs Victoria conducting a safety blitz in the lead up to Christmas.
And have been seizing toys that are simply dangerous.
The items all pose a potential risk to kids. They may not be labelled correctly. There are hidden button batteries and some dangers parents can't predict.
Like a toy like this, where they're small detachable plastic items, they're really easy, they come off quite simply. And this model here mimics the size of a small child's esophagus.
The top tips for buying toys are to buy age-appropriate gifts, avoid toys with sharp edges and look for well-made games and toys that don't fall apart easily. If parents do buy an unsafe item, they can get a refund or repair.
We rely heavily on consumers actually contacting us. That's obviously an important source of information.
Businesses can be fined up to $10 million for selling dangerous products. Better they go straight through the shredder. Mimi Becker, 9 News.
Well, they might have once been a luxury, but eating avocados could be an investment in your health. Research from the University of Wollongong has found people who eat avocados have a lower body weight and smaller waist measurements. It's due to the fruit's higher levels of unsaturated fats, which keep hunger at bay for longer. They're also packed with good vitamins and minerals, beneficial for cardiovascular health. Well, a classic Ford hidden in a barn near Bathurst for 36 years is up for auction this weekend. The 1971 Ford XY GT has only had one owner and is still in its original condition, with 160,000 kilometres on the clock. The current bid for the classic model sits at just over $100,000, but that's expected to soar past $250,000. Santa has landed on the Yarra River, but his sleigh looks a little different to usual. In the next instalment of our 12 Days of Christmas series, Justine Conway reports on the 27-metre long festive float, bringing plenty of cheer to the city.
Moored on the banks of Birrong Bar, you'd think Santa had lost his bearings. But no, this is Ro Ho Ho.
It just feels like Christmas, for real.
It doesn't get more festive than 27 metres of flashing lights blinking in time to electro carols.
It definitely gets a lot more people down for Christmas. Reminds a lot more people of, one of the best times of the year.
Instead of 9 reindeer, there are
1, 2,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Dolphins pulling Santa's sleigh.
Because dolphins can swim and sometimes they can just jump out of the water.
We're calling them rain fins. They're dolphins with reindeer antlers.
And this is where the magic started. No, it's not Santa's workshop, it's the artist's warehouse, where Joe Blank and his team of 17 little helpers built the installation over 5 very busy weeks.
When we were building it here, it looked like Toontown here. There was, so many presents and colours and things happening.
Lovingly crafted with 400 plus LEDs, hundreds of metres of white Christmas foam, it's a gift for the whole city to enjoy. Keep your eyes peeled for Santa. He'll be cruising up and down the river between now and Christmas Day.
Watching people really enjoying the installation is what makes it all worth it.
Justine Conway, 9 News.
All right, now here's Tony Jones with all of tonight's sport for you.
Thank you, Alicia. Hello again. Coming up after the break, Dave Warner is needing to prove his fitness to selectors in Adelaide tonight. We will have the latest. Also, out of the blue, Mark Murphy delivers a real whack to Mick. Once again, they're a happy team at Hawthorn, at least Jack is, and Steph falls agonisingly short of setting a new NBA record. First Test hero Travis Head has backed Dave Warner to be fit for the second Ashes instalment starting on Thursday. Nursing bruised ribs, Warner will tonight be put through his own test in Adelaide. Ed and Woolley reports.
Travis Head certainly answered the call in Brisbane. Now he's intent on ensuring he's no one-hit wonder.
It's one hit. I think there's a lot of people still would be doubting my ability or doubting what I could bring. I understand that.
The South Australian travelled to Adelaide early alongside David Warner, who'll face an examination under lights tonight. A short time ago, Warner emerged with a keen eye on the pitch. Sherrin in hand, it was then off for the warm-up. These his first positive steps since being struck in the ribs in Brisbane.
His family come into Adelaide, which was nice, and he felt like he was in a good space. Obviously, he's a little bit sore. I think for him it was just rest. I think he's ready to go, so no issues with Davey.
England, meanwhile, isn't declaring its hand just yet.
We'll have to wait and see.
That cheeky smile from Joe Root coming amid questions about veteran quicks Stuart Broad and Jimmy Anderson, who are both controversially left out in Brisbane.
We'll see how the training goes, see how everyone pulls up, and then we've obviously got some big decisions to make, but one of the great things is we're going into this test match and both of them should be fit and ready to go.
The Aussies wary of Broad in particular after his record during the last Ashes series in England.
There's no doubt that he was fantastic against our lefties and probably got the upper hand against our left-handers. He'll be confident, but vice versa, we've come off a fantastic test match and every guy that's batting in this team at the moment is in form, so it's exciting.
Ayrton Woolley, 9 News.
Former Carlton captain Mark Murphy has unloaded on his one-time coach Mick Malthouse. In a podcast with ex-teammate Dylan Buckley, Murphy declared the Blues made a mistake by sacking Brett Ratton and replacing him with Malthouse in 2012.
His time at Carlton, I don't think he was really in it for the right reasons. And then once it turned pear-shaped, it was all about him, unfortunately, at the end.
Wow. Murphy also revealed Mick didn't want him as captain. In the end, Malthouse was sacked after just 54 games. Hawthorn Premiership forward Jack Gunston is adamant he never explored a move away from Waverley Park during the Hawks' shambolic trade period. And the veteran, who of course battled a debilitating back injury this year, is already eyeing a round one return. Alicia Mewling spoke with him.
Waverley Park turned workshop today as the Hawks assembled Christmas presents for Indigenous children in need. Jack Gunston, keen to clear the air after the club's failed trade period, saying the wheels were never really in motion for a move.
There's a lot of talk externally, but we're actually all still at the club, so no one could go away. So we're having a lot of conversations with Sam and the recruiting staff about what was going on, and if any of us felt like we needed to ask any questions, it was the perfect place to do it.
And for a club still years away from premiership contention.
When you do rebuild and you want to get a lot of youth in, you still need some experience around, and I love that the club want me here and I want to be here.
2021 has been the 30-year-old's most challenging season, managing just a single game after a debilitating back injury forced him into surgery.
I think there was about 5 or 6 weeks where I had a lot of neural pain, and it was morning to night pain, and something that I don't really want to go back through again.
But with his body on the mend, the 2020 Peter Crimmins medalist is eyeing round one with confidence as the club embarks on a new era under Sam Mitchell.
In a way, it's like a new club. We've got a whole new coaching staff, we've got a new head coach, we've got a lot of young guys coming in, and we're giving a lot of those young guys a lot of responsibility.
Significant change here at Hawthorn this year hasn't just been confined to the football department, and tonight the club is preparing for a battle at board level. The changes set to culminate in the coming weeks as the new board decides who will succeed outgoing president Jeff Kennett. Alicia Muelling, 9 News.
History is on hold for NBA star Steph Curry. The Warriors dynamo needed 6 3-pointers to equal the record of Ray Allen, who snared 2,973 3-pointers in his career. And for much of today's match, Curry was on target to break that record.
Curry for 3. He is 1 away.
But in the end, the clock intervened, meaning Curry will have to wait until tomorrow to earn another crack at the record books. European football bosses have been left red-faced after bungling the Champions League draw. Spanish club Atletico Madrid lodged a complaint after the struggling Manchester United wasn't included in their pool of possible opponents. Now, it forced the entire round of 16 to be redrawn.
As many of you will have noticed, there were some errors made in the original draw, caused by a malfunction of the software that ran through an outside provider.
That explained it. As it turned out, Atletico will play United in the first knockout stage.
Always an outside provider.
Yeah, an outside provider. Yeah, just those outside providers. I'd say there's so much of it going on at the moment.
All right, Tony, thank you very much for that. Time to check back in now with Maddie. How's the weather looking for tomorrow, Maddie?
Not nearly as nice as today, unfortunately, Alicia. And for some parts of the state, there is a risk of severe thunderstorms. I'll have the full Wednesday forecast for you next. Hello again. Well, plenty of summer sunshine has saved us from what has been a much cooler day, and the UV was still extreme, despite the city only reaching 21 degrees. With breezes coming in from the south, it was warmer further away from the bay. Yarra Glen climbed to 28 degrees, Scoresby 25 and Epping 24, but Rosebud and Geelong only reached 20. And while it's been cool through southern parts of the state, areas north of the ranges enjoyed another day in the 30s. Walpyup has been the warmest spot, peaking at 37. There were severe storms across the eastern ranges this afternoon. Jalanjapi was hit with a wind gust of 72 kilometres an hour. 9 millimetres of rain fell there, and there were also reports of hail. A severe thunderstorm warning is still in place through parts of East Gippsland. In the South Pacific, Tropical Cyclone Ruby continues to track in a southeasterly direction. It made landfall at New Caledonia today, lashing the island nation with storm-force winds and heavy rain. New Zealand is likely to be affected, especially in the North Island and Upper South Island. In an 18-hour period from 8 o'clock tonight, more than 200 millimetres is expected to accumulate inland and 100 along the coast. For us tomorrow, a trough is expected to trigger showers and storms, and the Bureau has told us those storms could be severe in the east. Showers are expected to develop across all but southwestern Victoria before contracting to the east in the evening and afternoon. It will be another warm day through the north with maximums in the high 20s and low 30s, but staying cool through the south with most spots heading for the low 20s, just 19 degrees at Warrnambool and Aireys Inlet. Cloud will thicken over Melbourne around midnight, and that'll keep it quite mild with minimums mostly 13 or 14. Low cloud will hang about during the morning, and that could produce a light shower or two, most likely through northern suburbs, and the overcast conditions will keep daytime temperatures to maximums of 20 or 21. It'll be even colder in the city after a low of 15. It's only expected to reach 18, and despite the overcast conditions, the UV index will remain very high. Improving on Thursday, heading for 22 under partly cloudy skies. Then Friday is looking good, warming up to 29. It'll be a very warm night. It's only expected to drop to 21 before reaching 33 on Saturday. But it'll be very windy, especially during the morning, and we can expect an afternoon change, and that will make for a much cooler Sunday, 21, but bouncing back on Monday, 26, and up to 27 next Tuesday. It'll stay quite mild in the city tonight, a low of 15, then a top of 18. 18 tomorrow under mostly cloudy skies, and then we could get a few spots of rain, Alicia.
All right, Maddie, thanks so much for that. And that is 9 News this Tuesday. Layla is up next with a current affair. I hope you have a great evening. For now, good night.